I was a trader at JP Morgan for 5 years. We traded $8 trillion a day of FX every day, right? And that's the like off-chain demand with the liquidity and the systems that we have today. It's all quoted against the dollar, but also against euros and Aussie dollar. And it's because these businesses have needs, like they have cash sitting everywhere in the world. Sometimes they want to speculate.
What's the future of USDC look like? How will it change? How will the demographic of it change? The dynamic of how it's used?
Welcome back to The Roll Up.
This is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy it.
Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Robbie.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. It's your first time on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to host you. And it's quite a special day. Circle stable chains are live. We're in testnet, and it feels like the beginning of a new chapter.
It is. Yeah, it's the beginning of the economic operating system for the internet. We're super, super stoked to talk about our public testnet, how it came together, the partners, the use cases, and the journey so far.
I love it. I think you put it really well. This is the operating system for internet finance. And now we're in this digital age. Before you came on, I was talking about securitized, tokenized the world. It generally feels like we're in this modernized Wall Street moment, this movement where we're trying to modernize Wall Street and bring it closer to the tech world to generally make these things more efficient. I'd love to hear from you, your story when it comes to Circle, how you were able to play an instrumental role in bringing ARC to life. Maybe you could just start from the beginning, right? Like what is it like when you guys first had this idea of building a stable chain? And then walk us through what the early steps were to ultimately stand this thing up.
Yeah, for sure. So hey everyone, my name is Rachel. I'm a fintech and crypto builder. I've been in the space a long time. I like to call myself sometimes the crypto abuela. I'm originally from Venezuela, which is what brought me to crypto in the first place, and macro and economics. I lived through these experiences that you all see in the papers, right? Economic collapse, stablecoins and Bitcoin. So that's where I started my career. I started in Wall Street trading FX. Then I went to start a startup. It was called Trigger. It let you trade with rules and finance. And we did, crypto triggers. And my co-founder, Adrian, is actually our engineering lead for ARC. So I'll get to that in a moment. But, that led me to Circle. So I met Jeremy, early on in 2017. So it's been 8 years. And so, Trigger was acquired by Circle, and I've been at Circle building USDC for 8 years. And, saw firsthand how we, went from Bitcoin to stablecoins, scaling stablecoins. We're now, over 300 billion in circulation. And in that journey of scaling USDC to dozens and dozens of blockchains, we kept on encountering the same problems over and over again with partners and institutions. And we kept a list, I'm on the product team. So we kept a list of, all right, how do we solve these problems to being these partners and these builders on chain? And so, it's been many years in the making where we knew that we always wanted to launch our own blockchain. And, now for the last few years, we're building ARC, and it's really a continuation of Circle's vision and mission of enabling the frictionless exchange of value. But this time it's purpose-built. It's purpose-built for the internet financial system. It's purpose-built for stablecoins, tokenization. You just talked about tokenization and commerce. And so, ARC is here. ARC is here now. And it's a layer 1 blockchain, EVM compatible. It's, you aim to unite the real world economic activity to really bring that on-chain innovation with the existing real world economic activity. And it's really designed to meet the needs of developers and businesses really building on-chain. So we're focused on building net new value on-chain.
Love it. I mean, you guys have had such an integral part of the on-chain world, the digital asset world, rely on Circle and USDC for such a long time that you've become entrenched and instrumental in the space.
Yep.
For a while there was a kind of a running joke that Ethereum was a layer 2 on Circle, which I found pretty funny. And now you've decided to kind of go in this direction where, like you said, it's an L1. It is EVM compatible, so you've got some compatibility and composability with the rest of the ecosystem, but it is an L1. Could you describe what went into the decision and the product choice of choosing to build an L1 versus something like an L2?
For sure. We debated it a lot on the team. So, we just thought that the requirements of the traditional financial systems and the partners and the services weren't really being met with the existing, blockchain systems, and in particular with L2s. So here are the problems that we wanted to solve: unpredictable gas fees, crypto volatile tokens, unclear accounting rules. Every time when you talk to a partner, these things come up. These are clear pain points where, ETH and SOL, like they have to hold it on the balance sheet. They don't know how to transact with it. And, it causes pain points just to get it like in their treasury operations, let alone to then expose it to their customers. Like they have to start doing all these abstraction SDKs. Settlement times was unclear. And this is, the point about L1 or L2, where it's for every blockchain, it's very difficult to tell, to crisply say like when a block is finalized, when a transaction is clear, defined, irreversible. And so we really wanted to zero in on this clear definition of settlement finality. With layer 2s, it's really challenging to do that, right? You have like the provers, the sequencers, the things. And we tried to explaining that to like bank CFOs, and you could see like their brain is just like, whoa. So, a clear, crisp definition of settlement finality was important. And then number 3 is, proof of concepts are fine and public blockchains are great for many things. But once you start to scale like B2B flows, corporate treasury, sensitive trading applications, payroll, they need private systems. Like today's financial worlds are not interoperable, but they're private. And the existing privacy solutions today are usually add-on. They're either like, a protocol or like a private ERC20. And for L2s, like there's no escaping that. Like the state is still public on Ethereum. So for those, for those 3 like pay points and reasons, we decided to build ARC as a layer 1, purpose-built for stablecoins, purpose-built for the economic operating system. And it has these 3 amazing properties: stablecoins as native gas, starts with USDC. We're going to expand to many more stablecoins, dollar and non-dollar supported. Stablecoins are money, and so companies can now pay with like digital money without holding anything else on the balance sheet. It has instant settlement finality, so all blocks, and you can see it on the Block Explorer. It's pretty cool. They like finalize in less than 1 second, so it's really snappy, clear, irreversible. And then, not live on testnet, but on the roadmap will be opt-in compliant privacy. And so that is, built from the ground up to be, shielded balances and transactions, configurable privacy, so private smart contracts. And these builders at these companies and these institutions can say, okay, well, I need to be compliant with my auditors or my regulators. And, they don't need tools and systems and a programmable layer that's built for that. So those are the core features that really we think are going to unlock adoption more broadly for more stablecoins and tokenized assets to come on chain.
I love the focusing around privacy. And I'm not sure if you've seen Zcash recently, but there's a broader wave of people that are really becoming interested in privacy. And I think it's important as stablecoins become more and more popular and entrenched and just widely adopted. We're going to see a fuzzy line between stablecoins and CBDCs. And I know Europe is already kind of going in the CBDC direction. And people are going to want to take privacy into their own hands. And like you said, it's opt-in. You're not going to force people into it, but you're going to give people the option if they choose to enact that privacy. I also want to just double click on some of the conversations that you're having with banks, Wall Street, companies, these sorts of things. Like you said, you can see the fear in their eyes when you're talking to them about single sequencers and rotating decentralized. You're talking to them all of this lingo that is making their head spin. Were they did they try to understand? Did they put a head of digital assets or head of tokenization kind of nominate someone to really like just fully immerse themselves in this? Or were they like, when you start talking that language, they go, no, that's not us. That's not our world. We'll let you focus on that. trust you to make those decisions, but we're not going to go into that world where we aren't as familiar.
It's really evolved. And so like I've had these conversations for many years at Circle. I would say maybe 3 years ago, it's like the digital asset innovation team, the Think Hub, and you start there and they're really trying to bring the proof of concept to life and educating. But since the start of the year, like the demand is there, and the buyer persona who is like really advocating for stable coins and public blockchains has changed. So now we are speaking to, the head of payments, the head of corporate treasury, the head of policy. Many of the new fintechs have now head of stable coins. And so the conversations like immediately shifted because we have the buy-in of the decision makers and the business owners at the table. And they really want to understand because, their customers are asking for it. Their boards are demanding a stablecoin strategy, an AI strategy, and they come to Circle to have these conversations, to offer the platform. And now we have Arc that we can better explain how it all work at the programmable blockchain layer.
Was there an inflection point where you were talking to these people and, like you said, they maybe weren't the head of payments or head of policy or these department heads at these major institutions? Was there an inflection point where that changed? Now you've started to find yourselves in the rooms with the department heads, able to really move and shake and talk to decision makers?
Yeah, I think this summer with Genius definitely was the inflection point. When they know that it's law, a lot of it's de-risked. And they see, big name brands and AI companies and fintech companies and public companies. I think our public IPO this summer also helped. So it's just, a wave of major change in public markets, legislation, but also the technology. Like the technology's solid. Like you have advancements of privacy, you have advancements at the wallet infrastructure, you have advancements just in liquidity and stable coins. And so it's those three things this year are the puzzle pieces for us to really, take advantage of the moment. And the Arc test it couldn't really come at a more perfect time.
Relay, low fees, lightning speed, and the power of multi-chain at your fingertips. Instant multi-chain payments. Choose any token on any chain. 75 plus networks supported. More than 5 million users. 8 billion plus volume processed. 70 million plus transactions. Fast, reliable, everywhere. Start swapping today. Only on Relay.
Hibachi. Provable. Trade perps with speed and security. Earn rewards. Visit hibachi.xyz. Trading on fire.
The wait is over. The Talus testnet is live. Be part of the revolution. Join now at testnet.talus.network.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a really relevant comment that we actually just got here in the chat. Who's this? They say Ryan Boylan says, what is happening is not once in a lifetime. It only happens one time. Hope everyone is paying attention. Appreciate you guys for launching Arc. I think it's great. I think this is continuing the evolution and the proliferation of blockchain technology, ultimately becoming deeper and deeper into the financial system until it subsumes the financial system altogether. And this is what we know and expect when we operate with money in the modern digital age. I'm curious how you're thinking about the go-to-market for Arc. I think, as you know, a lot of the USDC is currently on Ethereum, as well as Ethereum L2. Some of it's on Solana, but there's billions and billions on these other L1s. Will you see, is there going to be a push to try to bring the USDC over to Arc? If so, what does that look like? If not, why not?
Yeah, so this goes to the use cases that we're really interested. Like what is day one of mainnet? What is the Arc, no pun intended, of Arc in itself? And we're really interested in this concept of a global liquidity hub. Right. And so like USDC and other staples are highly liquid, that proliferate across many blockchains, and leveraging Arc as a stablecoin liquidity hub where it, leverages the fast finality. So all transactions finalized in less than 1 second. It has the deep liquidity of USDC, of the on and off ramps, first and foremost. Like we, have a breadth of on and off ramps across third-party distributors, but also our first-party GSIBs in Brazil and Mexico, Asia, US, Europe. and the interop that we have, which is with CCTP and Gateway, that already powers around 90% of the multi-chain transfers. We want to leverage Arc as the liquidity hub for any developer, any business, any user, and any institution to go to and from Arc seamlessly, right? Like we acknowledge, like not all applications are going to live on Arc. Not all assets are going to live on Arc, but what we can do is to leverage it as a liquidity hub. So, you can have like your stables sitting on Arc, and we'll be able to go from 1 second, 1 cent, 1 click to and from any USDC supported blockchain. Do stable swaps, do FX, which I want to talk about the partners that we have bringing on board with the asset issuers. And that's sort of like a go-to-market value prop that we think is really missing in the space is, L1s tend to be silos, and Arc is not that. Arc is truly meant to like enable the money to flow across blockchains.
I remember Jeremy came on our show and he spoke to my co-host Andy. I was unfortunately not on that one, but I remember a really strong takeaway that they both had from the conversation, which was they want USDC to be everywhere. They want it to be like Netflix. You can watch on your phone, you can watch on your laptop, you can watch on your TV, you can watch all these places. And USDC should be the same. It should be ubiquitous. And it makes sense because you've already gotten distribution through all of these L1s. You're going to have Arc be the hub, but you're going to have your tentacles into all these places. That makes a lot of sense. I also want to talk about the partners because all these partners will help in some way, shape, or form with distribution or go to market or operations, all these sorts of things. And you guys have amazing partners, day one partners that are starting to roll out on testnet and eventually mainnet. Just to set the scene a little bit more before we get into the partners, I had Tony from Ubiquity come on the show last week, and he described stablecoins as these little bundles of joy that you pass around and banks love them because they're able to do FX when they go in and out of these different stablecoins. We were kind of discussing the stablecoin fragmentation that can happen as everyone seems to now have a stablecoin. And so when you're bringing banks on, it makes a ton of sense now to kind of think about these as they're clearing in and out of USDC as well as other stable coins. So I'd love to get into the banking relationships and the partners that you have coming on day one. Maybe you can just rattle off some of the highlights. We don't want to leave anyone out, but I'd love to hear from you as a product person. What is your perspective on the real fundamental partners that you think are going to reshape the way that we're thinking about finance on-chain and off?
Yeah, so super excited. Like we're seeing such an incredibly diverse group of partners come together over the last few months, and from global GSIP banks to payment companies to your DeFi, marquee builders, stablecoin issuers, and capital markets participants. These companies, when I look at them just face value, they manage trillions of assets. They have huge money flows, power billions of transactions. And, I think you said it, like it's the uniqueness of Circle that can bring this new emerging ecosystem together to start exploring testnet and, power the ecosystem economy. So we're announcing over 100 plus partners who are exploring testnet with us. And, they range from, capital markets. So Apollo is a great example. They want to bring private credit funds that have access to, potentially better liquidity because we talked about the liquidity hub. And we have these like private credit assets and TMMFs that can be composable assets for trading. And then you bring them with DeFi protocols. You have more access expanded to a different investor set. You have Bank of New York Mellon, New York Stock Exchange, State Street, BlackRock, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, Standard Chartered. And that's, like in the banks and assets category. When you talk about the global fintechs and the big enterprises and like the Web 2s, Brex, Ramp, Cloudflare, MasterCard, and Visa, right? Like those card networks are going to start settling between their merchant banks and stable coins, exploring doing it on Arc. We talked about the asset issuers. So, none of this works if you have no assets. And so the first assets that we're focused on are stablecoins. And this is dollar stablecoins, so other dollar stablecoins, but also non-dollar stablecoins. So there's really been a lack of, other, USDC like high quality fiat stablecoins in different jurisdictions. And we're announcing, 7 or 8 today: Australian dollar, Brazilian real, Japanese yen, Mexican peso, Philippine peso, Canada. And so once you have those, high quality asset issuers, then, the ecosystem starts to emerge. So they can be embedded into the developer ecosystem. They can start doing, swaps with Curve or new perps exchanges. And then those are the hedging primitives that then the payment companies can use. So, we're just super excited to be marrying the best of DeFi, the best of crypto, the edges of on-chain innovation with these Fortune 500 big enterprises that are there at the door, ready to experiment.
It's incredible. You guys have been such a pillar of the industry for so long. It must feel really good to see it come to fruition.
Yeah. I mean, as a product builder, like there's nothing like a launch day, right? Like, this is a test net. It's exciting. There'll be many versions of test nets, different features. But I'm just really excited to get builders on this. Quick plug, go to arc.network, check out the docs, start deploying your contracts. It's available for testing. Give us feedback on X, on Discord, wherever your crypto finds you.
I love it. As a builder, there's nothing more that you want to see the thing that you built get adopted and see it get used and start to get that feedback and build that feedback loop. As a builder, that's exactly what you want. Quick question on the geographical stablecoin launches. I saw, I think it was your head of legal, head of policy out in DC. I believe it was DC with the Fed payments conference that happened recently. The stablecoin super cycle, as we're calling it, is really integral to this administration and maintaining and encouraging and increasing dollar homogeny around the world. So when you kind of balance these two things, how do you think about the right balance to strike between US dollar denominated stablecoins and some of these more regional stablecoins that aren't in the US dollar? How do you kind of square, how do you balance these two worlds?
Yeah. I mean, global, like stablecoins are now, 300 billion, and dollars is 96%. If I was a betting woman, like, I don't think that's the ratio that's going to be the same over the next 10 years. Like the dollar, it still dominates in major parts of the world, but there's billions of people that use other currencies day in and day out. And, we're going to start seeing a shift of like global, market cap for stablecoins go away from dollar denominated to also local dollar denominated, right? And that's, for payments, for liquidity, for FX, like that's going to happen over some curve. But we believe obviously dollars will still dominate because that's what businesses and people want. And, we've exported dollars really well to the rest of the world. But FX in and of itself is a huge market. Yeah. I mentioned I was a trader at JP Morgan for 5 years. We traded $8 trillion a day of FX every day, right? And that's the like off-chain demand with the liquidity and the systems that we have today. It's all quoted against the dollar, but also against euros and Aussie dollar. And it's because these businesses have needs, like they have cash sitting everywhere in the world. Sometimes they want to speculate. And moving that on chain is going to present a real value prop to those users, a real value prop to the global policymakers in these institutions as well. So I'm super excited about FX on chain. I think also when you marry things like perpetuals and prediction markets, like those are new instruments that FX traders don't have. And so we'll bring the assets, we'll bring the partners, obviously bring our policymakers along the way to really make programmable FX thrive on ARC.
Asset management redefined, built on ERC 7621. Standardize how you launch, manage, and trade on-chain baskets. This is Alvara, the standard for on-chain asset management. Blockchain shortcuts, templates, and widgets. Launch without friction. For builders, by builders. Visit enso.build.
I think you said programmable FX, and FX in general is an $8 trillion industry per day.
Yeah, traded every day.
That is incredible scale. And I think for capital efficiency reasons, it is inevitable that this will come on chain. And it sounds like you're building Arc in such a way that it could become the home of FX.
I hope so. We believe it. I mean, FX markets already trade 24/7. So the value prop of on-chain is the settlement value, right? Because you still have to wait 2 days to settle between the banks. And then that's, risk introduced into the system. If you have stables settling against each other 24/7 on the internet, you're taking away credit risk from the system. You're taking away risk from the system. Money should flow more freely. And what was missing was a blockchain that has privacy, stable gas, fast finality, but also the issuers who are ready at the table to deploy, and the ecosystem that we talked about, the banks, the trading firms, the fintechs, to all make it come together. So that's, you'll see a lot of us talking about that over the next few months in the use case, so it can really come alive on Arc.
Love it. Is this a one-way street? Like once these firms, a lot of the day one partners that you mentioned, once they start operating on chain and facilitating on-chain finance, they'll never go off?
That's the hope. I don't think they'll go off. I mean, they'll probably like go off until you and I can start paying in stables and actually using it. It's a slow migration. I think they'll definitely come on. They'll stay. It's more safe. It's a better system, but it's going to take a long time for it to like completely exit the system.
Yeah, makes sense. A lot of the biggest things, they move at a glacial pace because glaciers are big. And this is a big movement. So it takes time to steer the ship. Rachel, I know we're coming short on time. Last question I have for you. Circle is predominantly known for USDC. Now you guys are rolling out ARC and you're rolling out some of these more regional backed stablecoins. What's the future of USDC look like? How will it change? How will the demographic of it change? The dynamic of how it's used? What can you say about what comes next for USDC, given the excitement and the hype around ARC?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see us continue to do the things that have worked for USDC very well, right? So we talked about it early on the show. My mental model is USDC is like Coca-Cola, right? Like our job is to make it so that anywhere in the world you can reach, and you have USDC there, just like Coca-Cola. I personally like Diet Coke, but same. So more settlement banks, more on and off ramps all over the world, in the places where it's hardest to reach, more blockchains. So USDC will always be there, interoperable, more distributors. So working with these great companies to integrate USDC so that they can then expose it on behalf of their customers. I'm excited to see how USDC as a native gas in a blockchain really comes alive, right? And so I call it the silent unlock, right? When stable coins or gas, you sort of just dismiss it and say like, oh, so what? But to me, it's kind of like a ChatGPT moment where it just fades in the background, and then users are like, everything just works, and it fades in the background. And so, you'll start to see like a lot of use cases with USDC, with privacy, with credit, expanding credit on chain. And just, doing what we do best, which is making, dollars liquid on the internet.
Yeah, incredible. Rachel, thanks so much for joining. Really, really appreciate it. We've already seen the power of USDC. We know what it can do as a collateral mechanism for perps, for other elements of on-chain finance. It really feels like this is kind of the beginning of a new era as USDC continues to proliferate and ARC comes online. Congrats again on the testnet.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us. Go check out ARC.network.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Rachel.
Bye.